Genesis chapter 49, Jacob's prophetic blessings. Welcome back to Bible Breakdowns. Today we're diving into Genesis 49, where Jacob gathers his sons to give them his final blessings, and some of them are more like prophetic judgments. Let's break it down. As Jacob's time draws near, he calls all 12 of his sons together. He says, "Gather around so I can tell you what will happen to you in days to come." This isn't just a goodbye, it's a prophecy about the future of each tribe of Israel. First up, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn. Jacob starts with high praise, calling him his might and the first sign of his strength. But then things take a turn. Jacob says, "You will no longer excel because you went up to your father's bed." This refers to Reuben's sin with Bilhah, Jacob's concubine. His actions cost him his birthright. Next are Simeon and Levi. Jacob calls them out for their violence, referring to the massacre at Shechem. He says, "Cursed be their anger so fierce and their fury so cruel. I will scatter them in Jacob and disperse them in Israel." And that's exactly what happens. The tribe of Simeon is absorbed into Judah, and Levi becomes a priestly tribe with no land of its own. Then comes Judah, and this is where things get exciting. Jacob calls Judah a lion, saying, "The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet." This prophecy points to kings coming from Judah's line, ultimately leading to Jesus, the Lion of Judah. Judah's blessing is one of leadership, power, and eternal promise. Next is Zebulun, who is told he'll live by the seashore and become a haven for ships. Then Issachar, who is compared to a strong donkey that bears burdens but is also content to settle in the land. Dan is called a judge of his people, but Jacob also warns that Dan will be like a serpent, causing trouble along the way. Dan is called a judge of his people, but Jacob also warns that Dan will be like a serpent, causing trouble along the way. Dan is called a judge of his people, but Jacob also warns that Dan will be like a serpent, causing trouble along the way. Gad will be attacked by raiders but will eventually triumph. Asher will produce rich food fit for royalty. Naphtali is compared to a doe, bringing forth beautiful words. Now we get to Joseph, and Jacob pours out blessings on him. He says, "Joseph is a fruitful vine, a vine near a spring, whose branches climb over a wall." Joseph is praised for his strength, faithfulness, and perseverance through trials. Jacob acknowledges that God has been with Joseph, blessing him beyond measure. Finally, there's Benjamin, who is described as a ravenous wolf, devouring prey in the morning and dividing plunder in the evening. After blessing all his sons, Jacob gives them final instructions. "I am about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave of Machpelah, where Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, and Leah are buried." When Jacob finishes speaking, he draws his feet into the bed, breathes his last, and is gathered to his people. Genesis 49 is a chapter of prophecy, legacy, and God's unfolding plan. Each blessing reveals something about the future of Israel's tribes and reminds us of God's sovereignty over history. Next time in Genesis 50, we'll see Jacob's burial and the final chapter of Joseph's story. Stay tuned for more Bible breakdowns.